And now, Working Man Radio with your host, Joe Lyles.
We shouldn't be doing deficit spending. No deficit spending to get us out of a hole. When times are tough, you gotta tighten your belt. Government should be run like a business. You ever heard that? Government should be run like a business. And when times are tough, you should tighten your belt. You don't go into debt when times are tough. Because businesses don't go into debt when times are tough. Wrong. Dead wrong. If you think that, if you say that, you're wrong. Wrong. Businesses borrow money when times are tough all the time. That's when they do things like, that's when they start looking at new products to launch. That's when they start looking at improving their processes to make them more efficient. That's when they start looking at things like doing more advertising. Let's think about this. By the way, before I stray away, I'm going to come back to Rubini in a minute because what I'm about to talk about ties right into what he told the Wall Street Journal. What happens? This is for a period of time, a few years back, when I was on commercial radio, and one of my jobs when I wasn't on the radio was to go out and sell radio commercials. And we'd work the phones. I'd cold call people. Hello, Mr. So-and-so. Wanted to see if you wanted to find out if I've ever thought about what the power of radio might do for your business. And this was in 2008. The economy was already sputtering in 2008. I mean, before the big crisis in the fall of 2008, the economy was already headed downhill. The housing bubble had already burst, and business was already slow. And you would hear this from people. They would say, well, we're not getting much business in, so you would hear this. So, we're not doing much advertising. We'll wait to do some advertising when we start getting, when people start buying. Well, if you're not advertising, why are they going to, what are you going to get more business by not advertising? It makes no sense. If people aren't coming into your business right now, you're telling me, well, I can't afford to advertise because I don't have enough business. Now, it may have been true that they didn't have the money. It may have been true. It may have been true that they could not afford, they needed to advertise, but they couldn't afford to because they didn't have a line of credit. Because the bank would not lend them the money. But the thing about it is, and the point of this is, that if they had the line of credit, and major corporations, they are able to issue bonds. They can get loans. They can sell bonds to people. There are two kinds of financing in the corporate world. If you don't have the money, you go out and raise it. And you raise it by selling bonds, which is a loan, or by selling stock, which is a ownership of a piece of the company. And the difference is just simply a technical legal difference in the terms by which the person who puts the money up gets paid. But when business is slow and business is bad and things are down, businesses sell bonds, do stock issues, go to the bank and get a line of credit so that they can borrow money, if for no other reason, to stay afloat until business gets better. And they do it all the time. And households. Have you ever heard this one? Well, I have to balance my budget every month. How come your government doesn't have to? You don't balance your budget every month. The year you bought your house, if you own your house, when you bought your house, did you have that $150,000 to pull off the hip and pay for it? No? Well, then you borrowed it. And you ran a deficit that year. And not only did you run a deficit, but you probably ran a big one. You probably ran a big deficit of 2 or 3 times your annual income. We don't run deficits like that. We don't run $45 trillion deficits in this country. The government, if you want the government to operate like a business and to operate like your household, that would free us up to do a lot more deficit spending. Keynesian economics is about doing what businesses do all the time and what households do all the time. It is possible to leverage yourself, and through managed debt, it is possible to stimulate more business that will then pay off the debt. Paul Krugman said that's what we needed to do in 2009, and we needed to do more of it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this podcast. We'll be back.
You've been listening to Working Man Radio with Joe Lyles at joelylesradio.com.